Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you 10 feel-good book recommendations. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. The first book that I'm recommending today is P.S. I Love You by Cecelia Ahern. Now in this book, we have a couple named Holly and Jerry, and what happens is that after a few years after the marriage, Jerry dies due to brain tumor, and Holly is devastated due to this and she's left alone. What happens is that after his death, after like a month or two, after the time that Jerry dies, Holly is delivered this bundle of letters that Jerry had written for her, and all these letters actually convey some task that Holly has to do after Jerry dies that have been written by Jerry himself, and each and every letter or note that he addresses to Holly is ending with the line P.S. I love you. And it is such a painful story, guys, and I'm sure that if you read this book, the pain that this book makes you feel while reading it will make you feel very, very good after having finished this book. And if you end up reading this, there's also this very, very good movie adaptation for this book which is out there, which you can watch after reading this book. The next book that I'm recommending is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. Now in this we have two main protagonists, the girl who's a Jamaican girl named Natasha, and the guy who's a Korean guy named Daniel. What happens is that this book actually happens within a 24 hours time span. The thing with Natasha is that she's being she's going to go back to Jamaica from New York, and that is kind of bugging her a lot because she was born and brought up in New York itself. She has studied for these many years in New York, and they are both 17 years old, and Daniel is a guy who's trying to get into medical school. That is, he's trying so hard, he's studying so hard, and he's not that much very much acknowledged by his parents, and he doesn't feel that it is that much necessary. He's trying to apply for medical school on the day all this happens, and Natasha is just going around the city on the last day of her presence in the city. What happens is that they both accidentally meet each other, and they just sort of go out and they build up this very beautiful friendship, which then becomes a bit of an insta love. But the story is really good, guys. It is very much compelling to read. It is the chapters in this book are so short, so you'll be able to read in a faster pace, and it will also be a very good time while reading this book. The next book is The Belated Bachelor Party by Ravinder Singh. Now I have recommended this book a lot of times in this channel because it is such a fun read. Okay, it will definitely make you feel a lot happier after reading this, because this is a book about friendship and nothing else. Okay, friendship and fun, that is the main focus of this book, and it is one of the main factors which will make you feel a lot joyful after having read this. What is the premise of this book is that there is this group of 4 friends who used to study together in college, and they are also roommates in the hostel while they are studying in college. After like 15 to 20 years after their college life has ended, they decide to go on a trip to Europe, and they just go to Europe as a group of these 4 grown boys. And what happens is that they just visit different places, they enjoy, they drink, they gamble, they do every sort of stuff, and things go crazy in this one. There's even this event which happens and makes them being strip searched while trying to enter a different territory, and it is so fun. It is so an adventurous book, and it is also filled with that much of comedy. Okay, while you're reading this book, you'll be able to watch a sitcom rather than reading a book. It is such a fun ride, and I'm sure that if anyone who reads this book will be able to relate with the characters in the book, at least to this much extent. The next book that I'm recommending is Release by Patrick Ness. Now in this book we have a guy who is gay, and he has not that openly come out to his family, but his friends as well as his school, everyone knows that he's gay, and his brother also knows it. The problem with this boy is that his parents are not normal. Okay, anything that his brother does, that is elder brother does is considered to be right by his parents, but anything that he does is not acknowledged or even considered worth being praised for or talked about. What happens a particular day is that this book also happens within a 1 day time span. There are like multiple bad things happening for this boy on that particular day, and we also have this other storyline going on parallel to the storyline of the boy, in which a girl who has been recently murdered in the city is helped by a supernatural spirit, and that supernatural spirit actually aids the girl in order to kill her killer. Okay, kill her murderer. They just get into the jail and they kill the guy. How both of these storylines are told in a great way. That's the best thing about this book. It seems like things are going like they are going downhill in this book, but at the end it wraps up in a really good way, and I'm sure that you will feel good after reading this book. The next book is City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. Now in this book we have this little girl named Cassidy Blake, and the thing about Cassidy Blake is that she is a person who will be able to see ghosts. Okay, she can actually visibly see ghosts, and one of her prime hobbies is that she is going to try to help these ghosts and pass them on to the spiritual world from the actual physical world. They are actually trapped in this space between the physical world and the spiritual world, and they are not able to make their way into the spiritual world. Sometimes they ask for help from Cassidy, and at other times they don't know that they are doing bad stuff and they are actually doing it. In the first book we have this ghost named the Raven, who tries to lure every children that she tries to that come across her way. And in the second book we have this little boy's ghost, which actually breaks a lot of havoc unknowingly, because the guy doesn't know that he's dead. That's the main part of the story. And these two books happen in the first book is City of Ghosts and the second one is Tunnel of Bones. The first book happens in the catacombs and the second book happens in Paris. Both of these are really good, and I'm sure that you'll have a very great time while reading these books. The next book that I'm recommending is Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. Now in this book we have this main guy named Simon Spear, who's gay, but he's not so openly gay. That is, he has not come out of the closet and he's not told anyone that he's gay, but he has been exchanging mails with this guy named Blue. And what happens is that one day by accident this other guy named Martin, he finds out that Simon is gay, and he tries to manipulate Simon in order to get a date with one of his friends, that is one of Simon's friends, and he kind of blackmails him that he'll tell everyone that he's gay because he's not out yet, right? So what happens is that due to some events it is exposed to the world that Simon's gay, and how he actually tries to persevere things. He is so afraid that people are going to act to him in a very bad way, but what happens is that everyone is so normal with it because it's such a normal thing. It is something so natural, so people don't make a big deal out of it, because that is the great thing about this book. She doesn't try to put anything in a hard way. It is so chill, it is so light. You'll be reading this book like eating an ice cream. That's the best way to describe this book, because it is such a fun read. The next book that I'm recommending is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Saenz, if I'm not pronouncing his name wrong, because it's such a different name for me to pronounce. And in this book we have these two guys who are literally named Aristotle and Dante, and they develop this friendship due to certain reasons, because they are shunned from the society in some sense. And the different things about these two boys is that one of them is such an extrovert and he's like totally liked by every person in the planet, and the other boy, he's kind of a very subtle introvert and he's not that much mingling with anyone. How these two boys develop a friendship and how that friendship grows, even despite the physical distance that they are put through. That is, one of them moves to college to a different state and he studies there, and the other one is studying in the same place. Yet they have been exchanging letters or mails and certain other stuff using which they can communicate in order to strengthen their friendship, which eventually develops into a relationship. It is a painful book. It is also a jolly book, but after having read this book, it will definitely be a feel-good book. The next book that I'm recommending is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. Now in this book we have a 17-year-old girl who has become pregnant, and she has given birth to a young baby girl. And what happens is that she has this passion to cook, and one of her prime aims is to open a restaurant, and she takes up catering as one of her main courses, and she also has to take care of her child. How her grandmother actually helps the girl in order to bring up her passion towards life, and also how to bring up her child in such a difficult situation. She has to study as well as she has to take care of her child. That's the different thing about this book, but the experience that you see in this book are so good, and the writing of Elizabeth Acevedo, that's the best part. She usually writes in verse, but in this one it's a normal type of a story writing, and I'm sure that it is so good and you'll feel very good after having read this book. The next book that I'm recommending is Girl Online by Zoe Sugg. Now in this book we have a girl named Penny, and she has this very embarrassing incident which happened to her, and that goes viral on Facebook because of certain reasons, and she feels that that is different, that's a big backlog in her life for her. And the famous thing about Penny is that she has this secret blog going on. The viewers of the blog don't know that she is the actual author of the blog, but she has like a different number of followers. She has like a huge number of followers, and also she has had this accident in the past, due to which she or her parents are not injured physically in any way, but she is having these massive effects of PTSD due to that accident, and how she tries to move on in her life despite all these things happening. And there is also this small part of the book which actually happens in New York while they travel for business, because her parents are organizers of parties and wedding planning and such stuff. She gets a chance to go to New York for a Christmas, and that's the best part of the story. I'm sure that you'll like this after having read this. The last book that I'm recommending today is A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahereh Mafi. Now in this book we have a Persian girl who's Muslim, and she lives in the USA, and the thing that has been shown very clearly in this book is the difficulties of people of a different race actually living in a majority of people of an other race, and it has been handled in a really extremely delicate way by Tahereh Mafi. The best thing about this book is that it is so easy to read. It flows in a great way. I actually heard this on audio, and I must say there was not even a single instant in this book where I felt it to be it went like boring in any way. The story was boring, but the narration of the story was not boring at all, because the whole time I listened to it, I didn't I didn't notice my attention going any other way. I was totally invested in the story and I read it totally, and it was also a feel book good, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm recommending it today. That's all for today, and if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.